Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Nadia Moreno, and I am the director of the School Climate Transformation Grant out of Alice Independent School District. I'm also a social worker. I have been a school social worker for a little over 15 years. I'm also a PhD student at Our Lady of the Lake University, a third year student. And my research area is adolescent suicide. Um, and now I'm going to go ahead and, if I can get you, Moses, to, okay. I'm going to go ahead and introduce Angel Espinosa. And Angel Espinosa, he is also one of our district social workers for the School Climate Transformation Grant. He has been employed with the district since 2016. Angel has his bachelor's of social work and also a master of social work degree. He graduated from Texas A&M University, Kingsville. He was also recently awarded a School Social Worker of the Year for our area, so we're very proud of Angel. Angel's areas of interest also include school social work, rural social work, self-care, mindfulness, and behavioral health.
Hi, everyone. First and foremost, my name is Moses Maldonado, but it's a pleasure to be here with you all this afternoon. It's always nice to meet and network with other people in education, whether they be social workers, counselors, teachers, administrators, support staff, truancy officers, and so forth. And so I am a social worker with Alice Independent School District, and I started here in 2016. Started my social work career with the district. I got to be an intern here with the district under Miss Moreno, as well as Angel, who's not here, who was also an intern with the district. And so I definitely got some nice experience getting my feet wet, working with students, addressing chronic absenteeism and a wealth of other concerns that our students need help with. I did go to Texas A&M University, Kingsville, which is here in South Texas, for our non-native Texans joining in today. Some of my professional interests include, of course, school social work and adolescent substance use and addictions. And for me personally, we know it's something that's very prevalent in districts, not only here in Texas, but around the US, adolescents engaging in substance use or even addicted. Right now, I'm currently at the high school here with the district, and so it's something we see often, even in middle schools, occasionally even in elementary schools, and maybe you have seen that in your experience working at a school district. But again, it's nice to be here with you, and thank you for having us. And so now we're going to throw it back to Ms. Moreno to talk about what we'll be discussing today.
Okay. So today our presentation, it will cover Alice Independent School District. We're also going to discuss school social work. We'll be discussing the School Climate Transformation Grant, incorporating systems to address students, attendance, I'm sorry. And also we'll be going over some attendance data.
Okay, so seeing the list of participants, I know we have
so, I'm sorry.
Sorry, maybe my Wi-Fi cut out for a few seconds. But going into talking about our district, like I mentioned, I know we have a lot of people joining in from across the state of Texas, as well as California and other states as well. Going into detail about our district in particular, we are in South Texas. Alice ISD is located in Alice, Texas, and we're part of the Coastal Bend region. Again, for our non-native Texans, maybe about an hour and a half north of the US-Mexico border is where we're located. And in 2019, for the 2019 academic year, actually, we had a total of about 4,918 students enrolled at our 9 campuses. Me, myself, being here at the high school, This is our largest campus. And so in comparison to other districts, I would say we're probably medium sized. Of course, there's some that are a lot smaller, but we know there's a lot that are also a lot bigger. But as far as us in the medium sized range, of our students, 92.8% identify as Hispanic, with 6% identifying as white, less than 1% African American, Asian, or two or more races. And so this is something that we commonly see in South Texas with a predominantly Hispanic student population. But what's interesting is that 84.6% of those more than or almost 5,000 students identified as or were identified as economically disadvantaged. And this is one who qualifies for free or reduced lunch. The USDA actually lists some other qualifications that make a student eligible to or actually be classified as economically disadvantaged, which includes them being maybe homeless, a migrant student, someone who is receiving SNAP benefits. So again, that's approximately 4,160 of our students, which is comparably higher in comparison to the other school districts around us. So just looking at these numbers to give you some background information into our school district in this predominantly rural area. The closest urban area we'd consider Corpus Christi is about an hour away from Alice. So just looking at, again, these numbers, especially with the economically disadvantaged rate in our schools, we identified very quickly that we need more support. And so this is where we come in as school social workers discussing first and foremost, what is it? Well, it's a specialized area of praxis that we bring to the school system and to the student services team. And so what's nice about this, of course, all those listening in, you know that in a school we have to work as a team. And no matter what software maybe you use to keep track of attendance, truancy data, and so forth, the numbers are important, but at the end of the day, we need boots on the ground. We need people to interact with our students, with our parents and community. And so as trained mental health professionals, this is where we step in to assist with families in a variety of situations. And I'm sure as you can agree, this past year with COVID has presented some very difficult challenges for our students and our communities, especially when regarding their student success in school, no doubt. Something big that we've seen, of course, the last bullet point are mental health concerns. We're always closely watching the recommendations from the CDC and the World Health Organization regarding COVID, but we've seen how that's dramatically impacted students' mental health with increases in anxiety, depression, even suicidal ideation and attempts amongst the young students that we find ourselves working with. And so this is an area that, again, we take very seriously and we focus on, but this is just giving you some insight into what we do. And I'm not sure, maybe some of your schools have a social worker working with the students. Maybe you have one for the district. If you have more than one at a school, which is excellent, but this is what we focus on here in Alice ISD. And so now we're gonna let Ms. Moreno kind of continue some of the services that we offer. I'm sorry. So actually, sorry, I missed this. So kind of tying it in, going into the crisis intervention and counseling, something that we've definitely seen an influx of is the crisis intervention, working with students in the middle of a crisis, basically, whether this be engaging in self-harm, contemplating suicide, and so forth. And we know these are big challenges to a student and their attendance here at school, obviously. Developing strategies to increase academic success, help alleviate stress, and help families become connected to community resources. And so this seems like a big old wealth of information and services, but it can be difficult at times to truly identify the needs of each and every student, as you can imagine, especially you coming from huge districts. And so this is why, as we're going to discuss, it's good to get the different perspectives of different professionals and how we can improve this. And that's why I always enjoy networking with other school districts such as you joining in today to see what's working for you and how we can really work together for the betterment of all our students. And so now we're going to pass it to Ms. Moreno for our next slide.
Thank you, and I apologize. I have some lagging on my part here, so I hope you can hear and see me well. But some of the services that school social workers provide, we also provide staff with essential information to better understand factors affecting a student's performance. A lot of the times, students that are having issues, whether it's academic issues, behavioral issues, attendance issues, we see after doing assessments that there are other things going on. I'm sure you all have been hearing a lot about what trauma-informed is, and that's something that that we encourage our district to be familiar with is trauma-informed, because a lot of the times things are happening at home, you know, and that's what's affecting them at school, affecting our students at school. We also help develop alternative programs for students at risk of dropping out who are chronically absent or are in the juvenile system. And so one example of that is years ago, we had a lot of students that were choosing to drop out. The economy in our district, we were a very strong oil field economy, and a lot of people were losing jobs here. So we noticed students were having to step in to work to help support their families. So students were wanting to choose that route of dropping out. We ended up working together as a district, and we were able to create a flex program where basically students can choose to go to school at night or take a few hours during the day. Kind of like now, everything that's going on with COVID, you know, we have the virtual school. That's basically what we had created a few years ago to be able to offer different options for our students. Okay, next. So currently, Alice ISD employs 4 licensed social workers and 2 social work case managers. And the difference between that is, in order to be called a social worker, you have to have a license. Now, our 2 social work case managers are graduates. However, they're working on getting their license. They fairly recently graduated with their master's degree, so they will be getting their license here shortly. The social work program started to grow in 2016, the 2016-2017 school year. I actually started off with the district as the only social worker in 2009. Later on, we were able to begin the program with Angel and Moses, who were also my social work interns. And also, altogether, there's 4 of our employees have all been social work interns. Our goal for Alice ISD is to have a social worker on every campus by the 2021-2022 school year, and we're very close to that.
Okay, so now that we have the support staff, which we can always use more, of course, especially with the challenges that our students are facing in society and even in schools. But now, how do we actually get things done? Well, this is where we incorporate the different systems to address student attendance. And as in our next few slides, we'll discuss some of our partnerships and what we call systems, maybe other agencies, how we work together. So first and foremost, it starts by us conducting a biopsychosocial assessment. And if you're a social worker or counselor out there, surely you've heard of this. here and if you notice in our image, it basically summarizes it nicely. We have the student, you can imagine the student at the center, and the different factors here about biological, you see their physical health, their genetic vulnerabilities, drug effects, and we talked about the substance use earlier. The psychological, their coping skills, the social skills, family relationships, self-esteem, mental health, and their social aspect, we see the interactions with their peers, their family circumstances, and family relationships. And so by looking at these 3 different aspects, we conduct this assessment and we identify the barriers to what is preventing good school attendance, whatever that may be defined by your school district. Obviously, but here in the state of Texas, the average state ADA is, I believe, 95% attendance for the year. We try to aim higher than that, of course, but we identify barriers that that child is facing from preventing them to having good school attendance. So once we identify the barriers, then we turn the barriers into needs. For example, with substance abuse, that's definitely a barrier to them having good school attendance. So they need substance abuse treatment. So then we're going to fulfill those needs with resources. And so this is just the starting point of what we call the generalist intervention model, working with students and their families. And so to go a little bit more deeper into the supports that we offer, we'll go to our next slide.
So in 2019, Alice ISD received the School Climate Transformation Grant. With that grant, we've been able to add additional support to address the social and emotional and behavioral needs of our students. And so some of what we've been able to include is 2 social work positions. We hired a behavioral specialist, and typically you have a behavioral specialist that works with a special education population. With this behavioral specialist, she actually works with the general students, general education students. We also have recently purchased a mental telehealth service through Gaggle. And this is amazing because this offers additional support to our students and also our families. We have also purchased with the School Climate Transformation Grant. It's an early warning monitoring system, and this monitors the school issued email and the Google Drive accounts. This is also through Gaggle. They will monitor any type of threat of violence, self-harm, bullying, any type of, it's flagged for drugs, anything like that, we will get notified about it. If it is an emergency, they automatically contact the police department. Also, with our School Climate Transformation Grant, we have been able to build community partnerships, and we have also purchased new social and emotional learning curriculums. We looked into the social and emotional learning curriculums, and we tailored it to our students' needs. So we have one for the elementary campuses, and then we have one for the secondary campuses. Now with the secondary campuses, we felt it was important to also provide not only the SEL curriculum, but also to have different components. So with this curriculum, we have a parent component. We also have an RTI component. With the parent component, they can go in there and they can follow along the lessons that their students are doing, or if they have a certain interest to where maybe they just don't want to talk to anybody about it, they want to keep it private, there are topics in there that include alcohol and opioid awareness, suicide, non-suicidal self-harm, and with each program that's on there, there are referral numbers on there in case a parent feels the need to contact someone about those issues. And another thing, what we have done with the School Climate Transformation Grant, we have created community support meetings. The social workers do this on a monthly basis. They do them in the evening. We really want to get as many parents and community members involved. So we've played with the times. We've tried them before during lunch, and it seems to work best in the evenings. And with these community support meetings, we bring in different agencies, our community partners, to discuss topics that are important. And also topics that many people are afraid to talk about. Again, like suicide, for example. Suicide is a topic of taboo, but research does show that these are topics that need to be addressed. And we talk about other things that may be affecting students' attendance. So these community support meetings have worked out amazing. Let me see if you can. Let me see. Okay, so with our local community partnerships, we have these partnerships have really helped us meet the needs of our students and families. And just for example, some of our partnerships include the Honorable Judge Bice. She's out of Jim Wells County Precinct 5, and she hears our truancy cases. This has been an amazing partnership because we, as social workers and as the district, we get to sit down with her. And when you think of truancy, you immediately think of punishment. You think of fines, and sometimes, unfortunately, that does happen. But since we have partnered with her, we're trying to make it to where our students and our families are getting the support that they need. So we can make recommendations to the judge. For example, if we have a student that we know has been having substance use issues, we know that they're having problems at home, we can recommend to the judge to court order that student into a drug rehab. We can also court order parents to attend these community support sessions. And what we found is at times parents are court ordered to attend, and they go and then realize, like, this is something that I enjoy and I can make time for. So we really work with her and come up with a plan for our students and families. Another thing that we've had our judge court order is parent teacher conferences. Having the parents get acquainted with the school. So we really want to be able to focus on the students and family needs. Also, we have a partnership with the local food bank. Moses here was recently secured a grant through State Farm. And with this grant, we can provide our students in need backpacks of food for the weekend. So the social workers do go out on a weekly basis and do home visits to drop off these food backpacks. We also have a partnership with the local Boys and Girls Club of Alice. And with this, what we have done is the Boys and Girls Club, they have after-school programs, and part of their after-school programs involves tutoring and different events. So what we've done is we've collaborated with them, and basically it's almost as an extension of AISD into the Boys and Girls Club. So they have access to certain programs that our students use, and that way they can assist the students. We've also partnered with the Community Action Corporation of South Texas. They also provide lessons to our students. Coastal Bend Wellness Foundation, they have tailored a program for us where they come in during our social emotional learning time that's scheduled into the students' schedule, and they have tailored a program for us that discusses alcohol awareness and opioid use. They also talk about vaping, which has been extremely beneficial. And then another partnership is the Texas A&M University Kingsville Social Work Program. Here, well, what they've done, we've continued to accept social work interns, and when a social worker interns with the district, they're with us for a year. They're here with us part-time for a year, so that's just additional support for our district. And currently, they are also working on tailoring a curriculum for us that addresses freedom of speech with respect.
And so, as Ms. Bonanno discussed, these are definitely just a few of our local partnerships. Going back to the systems theory, this is how we bring the systems together to address student attendance. One thing I did want to mention is the importance of truly investing your time and energy, or maybe you oversee someone who is directly responsible for addressing student attendance. The importance and the need to truly invest time to work with the system. What I mean, so for example, with our judge, I know a lot of districts refer students to truancy court. Some choose not to, which is okay. But in our district, for example, we wanted to be more than just a punishment. So we took time to meet with different judges that hear the truancy cases, and we had a very nice discussion, and we definitely recognized the judges that were going to be beneficial to our students, and one being Judge Pice from Jim Wells County Precinct 5. And so we don't want to just find these resources, but we want to invest our time and really tailor their program to our school and vice versa. We have to work together, and that's something we talked about with our judges, the need to work together. And Judge Pice has done a great job. In fact, of course, we try to avoid sending as many kids as possible to truancy court, but the times that we have to, Judge Pice will even order the student to first conduct the biopsychosocial assessment with the school. We identify those barriers, and at the review, typically what we see, an improvement, she dismisses the case. And so that's something we try to do, is to limit the number of students being referred to the local truancy court by these different resources and systems. And so just touching back on the community support sessions, they were really designed to address these potential barriers to good attendance. Ms. Bonanno brought out some of the topics that we do discuss, include the things that nobody likes to talk about. And it takes effort to advocate for the students and parents. We know even at the district, maybe some staff might feel these are inappropriate to talk with students about, such as suicide awareness. But yet the research does show the important need to do so. And so we do this for our students and our parents to advocate and to link them with those resources and help them to really see that we're wanting to work with them and not against them. And so these are just a few or a couple of example invitations that we've sent out regarding alcohol and opiates, where we had a licensed chemical dependency counselor from Community Action Corporation of South Texas come and present a really nice presentation. And also on healthy relationships, we had two of our social work interns present this topic. And so we utilize these different things to, of course, improve our attendance. And these are actually our attendance rates for our district for the last 4 years, between 94 and 92%. Definitely, we consider, if you look at it in grading scale, this is maybe like an A-. We want to definitely be at an A+. We know there's improvements to be made and things that we can change. And so that's why we look forward to hearing from you on maybe what you and your district are doing that are helping the students to attend school more often and increase the attendance rates. And so for one of our last slides, we're going to discuss this case study. This is actually based off of a real scenario, obviously without identifying the person. You know, after reviewing school attendance data, and I want you to imagine you in this scenario, you notice a 14-year-old student who has excessive absences for full days and appears to be skipping while on campus. Says the next day you see him and pull him out to talk. During the discussion, he explains that he skips often to smoke synthetic marijuana. He continues and says that he's failing anyway, so there's no point in coming to school. Further questioning reveals that he is being raised by a single parent who is always working and is often on his own with friends from school. So this was really a unique situation, but something that is very common, and maybe you've seen a similar situation in your school. And so this student at our school had essentially become labeled by maybe his teachers or other staff members and even students. But of course, we don't give up on anyone. And so what did we do? Or what do we want to do in this, for example, situation? Well, after conducting the assessment, we noticed some areas of concern, those barriers to him attending school. So did you identify them? Maybe one, of course, the substance abuse of smoking the synthetic marijuana. He was also failing and he lacked structure. And so this is, again, just an example of how we can use this model of working with our systems. And I'll let Ms. Moreno kind of maybe discuss a little more of how we worked with this student.
So with this particular student, I first came in contact with him, of course, when he was 14 years old, and he was sent to truancy court. He was very honest at the time, very just open and honest, stating he didn't want to go to school. He was happy smoking. A lot of things came out that day, so there were certain things that we had to do. We, of course, CPS reports, different referrals, and eventually we ended up working very closely with the family, working closely with him, and you could see an improvement. To me, if we have a student who is missing regularly, the student was missing about 4 days a week. He would attend maybe once, if we were lucky, 2 times a week to school. So if I see that he's attended 3 days, if I see a slight increase in his grade, I'm going to acknowledge it. And that's one thing that we do. We work off of a strengths perspective. We believe that every student, everyone has a strength. And it's important to acknowledge that. And that's what we started doing with the student. And every year you would see improvement to the point where he would come in into the office and let us know that he passed a certain test, or he was in school the entire week. And I'm happy to say that the student graduated and is doing very well. But it's important to see and to recognize the needs from the very beginning, and to get all those systems in place to help the students. So that's the reason when we talk about, when we say it's a systems approach, because it's not just one person. There's several people that need to be involved to help these students.
Yeah, so, and definitely going back to some of the issues or barriers that we talked about with the substance use. In this instance, he was able to receive substance abuse treatment, and that was working with our truancy court and getting that really addressed, probably for the first time, actually. And so he also was failing pretty bad, and some of his teachers maybe had one view of him already. But working with this kid, able to link him with the tutoring services, even such that we mentioned earlier, the Boys and Girls Club and how they offer their services as well. His grade began to go up slowly but surely. And one thing that we thought was going to be difficult to address was the lack of structure. Certainly, maybe a lot of kids have that nowadays. But in this instance, of course, we know we can't be with him at home after hours, but here in the school, we could do the best that we could, checking up on him, doing those daily check-ins, and again, holding him accountable really helped him. And when we think about it, a lot of these cases that you've worked with, that we've seen, all the times these students, they just need someone in their life to really care about them. And that's why we're happy to do the job that we do, working with these kids who lack that, maybe parental support, family support, or just any support in general at the home. And so that's something we take pride in what we do. And maybe your school has someone like that. Maybe you're that person. We know the more support your school can get, the better. If you don't have a school social worker, we'd encourage you to, in the middle of this presentation, we quoted the School Social Work Association of America. I believe they're in the references as well at the end. Their website has a wealth of information for people and districts who are maybe wanting to just hire one or just get more information on what they can do, what services they offer to the students, parents, district, and so forth. And so we'd encourage you to visit that website. And so we definitely want to give a big thank you to everyone who joined this evening. I'm sorry, not evening, this afternoon. I know we're in different time zones, but definitely just a big thanks for having us. And we look forward to hearing from you and hearing from what you're doing at your district to improve your attendance and your climate.
Wonderful. We're going to open it up for questions, but let me, while we wait for some questions to pop in, address the common questions. One, we are definitely going to be sharing the videos with you. The PDF of the PowerPoint presentation is in your handouts, but it will also be provided in a follow-up email. Those of you who have asked for the video from the one that we had on Tuesday and this one, just know it takes me a couple of days to get the video trimmed and any inserts put into the video. So look for those to come shortly. You would have also received a follow-up email with your survey. Again, please provide your feedback. We love it. And the other question I often get is for the certificate. You will get a certificate for attending. If that benefits you for your continuing education or however you might use it within your district, then your certificate will be downloaded or will be downloadable from the follow-up email. Okay, we have our first question. What SEL curriculum is used in your high schools?
Okay, for our SEL curriculum at the high school, we use Suite 360, and they're associated with APEX, which is a credit recovery program, but Suite 360 is their social emotional learning curriculum.
Okay, another question that we often get is the grant process. Where did you come by the grant opportunities? A little bit about the process of completing the grant.
Okay, so this is a federal grant through the Department of Education that our district was informed about. This was, I believe they started it, we received it in 2019, in September of 2019, and they started the grant writing process in the summer. Usually what I do is when I'm looking for grants, I will look through the Department of Education. I look through, since we're in Texas, I look through Texas Education Agency. I also look through the state, oh goodness, state gov, I think it is, for state grants. So I look through that to look for grants, especially grants that focus on mental health needs and social emotional learning. And Moses, I'm not sure if there's a particular area that you look for.
It's basically those same websites. What's interesting about the State Farm Grant, I know they did email that out to school districts in Texas, California, Arizona, Utah. Yeah, and that's the one that, yeah, I think it was allowing staff, anyone at the school, to basically write a proposal for anything they'd like to do to benefit students. And so we applied for that one and we got it, thankfully. So that's been nice.
Wonderful. Mindy Morris has raised her hand. So Mindy, I'm going to open your mic. Okay, Mindy, you are self-muted, so I'm going to, oh, one more time. There we go. You're open now.
Cool. Thank you for your presentation. I wanted to know if your district also employs attendance officers, and I wanted to know what percentage of your school district do you deal with? Is it like how many students are on your caseload?
Moses, you want to? Well, I'll begin with that. We have one truant officer, and our school district has a little over 4,000 students in the school district. We are hoping to have a social worker on every campus. As far as caseload, I wouldn't say exactly caseload for our district, because the social workers really deal with everything. And another thing about our school district is we have a great working relationship with our school counselors. So that's just additional support. I'll let you continue on with the attendance and question, Moses.
Yeah, as far as caseloads, it's basically the entire campus that we're assigned to. Again, we don't work just, we don't focus solely on attendance, I can say, but our social worker at the high school was hired specifically to work with attendance and truancy, since that was the highest rate of truant conduct that we were seeing in the district. And so her caseload is basically the entire school. I want to say our high school population is roughly about 1,200 kids. And so it's definitely can be challenging. I know I had her position last year, but it basically comes down to working together with the social worker, our truancy officer, our administration here, to get things flowing as smooth as possible, as it can be challenging if you're responsible for an entire school.
Well, as we all know, our caseloads have increased.
Yes.
I wish that our community would step up, since we have so many more students that are in crisis now, that we would have places for them to get treatment. You know, this has exploded, but the treatment part of it has not. So I would hope that others would step up to the plate to help with that. But I appreciate what y'all do very much.
And I'd like to add it, because you made a very good point about that, because fairly recently we did have that issue where a student was in crisis and had to wait a couple of days to receive services. So that's when I started looking into the mental telehealth services. And the way it's set up is based on a referral from a social worker or a school counselor. Our students can receive up to 10 sessions from a licensed clinical social worker or an LPC. So this is, obviously this isn't gonna immediately help somebody that's in an immediate crisis, but this is just an additional service that we can provide, because of the fact that so many of the local counselors, even, you know, the psychologists and psychiatrists, they are booked solid. And with this, they're able to do a video conference from their home or from the school. We will provide them a device where they can meet with their counselor.
You know, with COVID hitting and all this, I'm glad that some of the technology has gotten better for us to be able to help others. But there's nothing like a face-to-face visit. So
Yeah,
anyway, but thank you.
you're welcome.